hot weather, but often our children and young people will really, really struggle with this weather, but equally so will our staff. So there's some useful tips that we can use in workplaces as well that will really help our staff who have additional needs or who have sensory sensitivities, neurodiversity, or perhaps they have some sensitivities to heat. It might be that they are living with epilepsy, for example. So there's some really useful things that we can consciously do to be able to support them that we're going to discuss. Hot weather can affect people differently. Some colleagues might feel more vulnerable to heat because of health conditions, things like disability, medication, pregnancy, menopause, sensory sensitivity, neurodivergence, and other types of things that could affect the work that they do. So just small, timely adjustments can really help to make people safe, comfortable, and productive. So there's some practical things that we can do. Things like checking in early when the hot weather is forecast. So rather than waiting for someone to just struggle, why don't we check in with them ahead of time? Encouraging staff to tell a manager, a supervisor, or a trusted colleague if heat affects their concentration, their comfort, or equally their well-being. Providing easy access to drinking water, so something really simple but really efficient, and encouraging regular hydration before people become thirsty. And equally, it's a really good way to regulate just to have a drink. A nice drink of water, that is. Allow more frequent short breaks so that staff can cool down, especially after physical tasks like travel, PPE, those kind of things, or time that it might be spent in the direct sunlight, just ensuring that those staff are supported. And where possible, move the workstations away from the direct sun, from the windows, from heat generating equipment or crowded areas. And this is really important as well for visual needs. So where learners are living with visual difficulties and or visual visual impairment, they can really be supported by the way that the light is. So people like habitation specialists can come in and support you in your business to do a little bit of a reconnaissance of the environment and help understand how those environments are working for that individual. But equally, how when times of heat, for example, occur, we are able to be ready for that, and that will make a change in that environment, but we've already, mitigated that for that person or multiple people. I'm wearing glasses right now. So where possible, move those workstations. Use fans, blinds, ventilation, air cooling, or cooler rooms where available, and consider flexible working patterns at this time. So things like earlier starts when it's a little bit cooler, altered break times, job rotation, perhaps a little bit of remote working, or moving demands like on really demanding tasks to cooler parts of the day. A relaxed dress code can be suitably helpful as well, where safe and appropriate. Obviously, this is environment specific. So while maintaining any required personal protective equipment, make sure staff working outdoors have shade, have water, sunscreen, suitable clothing, and planned rest breaks. So thinking about then neurodiversity and sensory considerations. So some neurodivergent colleagues can really experience heat in difficult ways. It can increase feelings of sensory overload, fatigue, irritability, distraction, or just difficulty processing information. It's really important to caveat that being dysregulated is incredibly uncomfortable. So as much as it's complicated when we have learners who are dysregulated, and we work really hard to support them to regulate, just because you're an adult, it doesn't mean that it's not uncomfortable anymore. It still is very, very much the case. So really helping to reduce this discomfort is important for a multitude of reasons. So others might find it harder to notice or communicate that they are becoming overheated as well. So sometimes regulating your body temperature and neurodiversity are two things that can be conflictual, and it can make a very pressing concern when a person may overheat and or become too cold. So it's really important to support that individual respectfully and based on conversation rather than assumption. So things that we can do that can be helpful here include asking what helps that person to manage heat. So things like sensory discomfort and changes to routines, what are they and how can we help? Offering information in clear, direct language where helpful. Sometimes think about alternative as well. So could you write it down? Could you say it verbally? Is there another way that we could communicate that? Give advance notice of changes. So things like moving desks and changing duties or altering start times, please ensure that that is communicated ahead of time. Provide access to quieter, cooler spaces for decompression or focused work, and be flexible about sensory support. So things like cooling towels, handheld fans, sunglasses, hats, ear defenders, or preferred clothing where safe and effective, and being really mindful about the materials on those clothes as well. Additionally, avoid minimizing concerns, please, with phrases such as everyone is hot. Focus instead on what support would reduce risk, and agree a simple plan for what that colleague should do if they begin to feel overwhelmed, unwell, or unable to cope and continue safely. So signs that someone might be struggling could be beneficial here. So things like heat stress can affect concentration. It can affect coordination. It can affect decision making. So watch for headaches, dizziness, nausea, muscle cramps, unusual tiredness, heavy sweating, severe thirst, confusion, fainting, or hot, dry skin. If someone appears seriously unwell, please move them to a cooler place and seek first aid or medical help, and follow your local emergency procedures. So there's some helpful conversations that you can have, and I will have this sheet available on my website, which will be in the link below. So the weather is expected to be very hot this week. Is there anything that would help you work safely and comfortably? Would a different workspace area, break pattern, start time, or task plan help at all? Are there any sensory issues we should consider, such as noise, light, clothing, or PPE? If you start to feel unwell or overloaded, what is the best way for us to support you? It's a lovely one. And let's agree a plan and review it if the weather changes. Lovely. Iterative, supportive, agile, really, really on board. Using that collective language as well. So just to summarise, there's no single approach that works for everyone. There never will be. We're all individual. But being prepared is really important, and being supportive is the most important. Managers should listen, record agreed adjustments where appropriate. Review whether they are working and include heat-related risks in local risk assessments. Staff that do have disabilities or health conditions may require reasonable adjustments, and these should be done supportively and without judgment. If you had any more questions, you can catch me on the email below, and if not, thank you very much, and I really, really hope you enjoy the weather safely and that everybody is supported in your environment, and the fact that you're here listening to this is a great sign. Thank you very much.